Hey, what's up, everybody? Nick Underhill for NewOrleans.Football, and you're watching The Dot presented by Matt Powers Auto Group. Today's Friday, so that means it's time for the Friday mailbag. As always, hit us up, get into our private community, chop it up with other Saints fans, ask questions, get your questions featured in The Dot, and just be part of our growing community. There will be a link for that for members of NewOrleans.Football. You can access it right underneath this post in the quote tweet, so check it out, click it, get in, and start talking with other Saints fans in there. So, big week this week. Saints just wrapped up practice with the Packers. They got their second preseason game coming up. So, there's a lot to get into on the site. So, make sure you're subscribed. We have a promo going on right now. Use the code GBWEEK, all one word, save 20% off your first payment. That will expire after the game. So, make sure if you want to get in, get that. That'll be our last sale before the season starts. So, this week, our first question comes from Craig, who asks, we've heard about how good the defense has been, but don't you think the offense can be just as good, and all that depends on Jameis? I think the Saints have some really good weapons, and there's some significant upside for the offense there with Mike Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and Chris Olave. Alvin's going to do all the things that Alvin always does. And I think also the tight ends are going to be a little bit better than they were a year ago. Not just because they're playing better this year, but I think we're going to see some things in the coverage that's going to allow them to get open a little more. And we're going to have a story about that on the site that you can check out to read just kind of how some of that stuff's going to set up for them. So I think there's some significant upside there. But as far as being as good as the defense, I don't know that this offense is going to be one of the best offenses in the league, where I believe the defense is going to be just that. So I think they can be really good. I don't know if they can be comparable to the offense, but I don't think that the offense is going to be a problem this year if Jameis takes advantage of everything that's there for him. And so far, we've seen signs that show he should be able to do some of that, if not all of it. So I think they're going to be a really good team this year. Our next question comes from Andrew, who asks, given DA's statement, Jameis won't play against Green Bay, should we assume we won't see him on the field until week 1? Possibly. I mean, everything I've heard about him right now is that they're holding him out for precautionary measures. Now, Jameis is somebody who really likes to play football. He's going to try to get on the field, I'm sure, against the Chargers in the preseason finale. But I don't think it's a big deal if he doesn't play in that game. There's a 2-week ramp-up period heading into the season. And as long as he gets on point with his receivers and gets back into the rhythm and the flow of things, it's not a big deal. The good thing about right now is that missing this time is doable, and it doesn't affect anything that actually matters tangibly in the standings. So he can take his time, get healthy, all the way healthy, and make sure that this thing isn't something that's holding him up or he's fighting through in the season by rushing to play in these practices or preseason games. So I think they just got to be smart about it, listen to the training staff, do what's best for Jameis long term. And really, if that means setting the preseason aside, I don't really think that's a big deal. And our last question comes from Austin, who asks, will the Saints be looking into other OT options after the waiver claim of Derek Kelly and minor injuries? I think that they'll be looking at all options, not even just the offensive line here. I think they're going to look at all options at every position, really, especially after cutdowns, to see if there is somebody that makes sense adding. They do it every year, and there's always someone that comes in, and they like to rotate their depth and see if they can find better options from the outside that can take over the players that are currently on the roster. I think offensive line makes a lot of sense with some of these injuries, some of the different things they're dealing with. So Derek Kelly, I thought, was a very good claim for them. They at least know what they're getting in him after Ethan Greenidge landed on IR with his knee injury. So getting different guys in, adding competition, seeing where everybody stands, it's all smart. We see him doing it at linebacker right now. So I think we'll see him work that at a lot of different positions. Maybe the only place they don't really need to look for anybody is cornerback and maybe safety, because those positions are so deep, and wide receiver. But other than that, I think that they need to keep their eyes open and be looking for players they can cycle in and see if there's somebody out there that can take a job.